2, go. 2, go. Section 2 now. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, Jabez, as you have said, you are a trainer. You train colleagues in Dubai Golf, and also I'm sure you can train other people away from Dubai Golf, like you want to assist young people to become, skilled and better in their positions and what they are trying to pursue in life. And of course, you are a strong believer of organizational culture, which I would like you to speak more about. But before we go to organizational culture, we have so many young people who are looking for a job, and from HR, you are from human resource. There are so many people who are looking for jobs, and they are being called for interviews. There is only one question the HR or recruiters will always ask. Can you tell me more about yourself? So how do you approach that kind of a question?
There are so many ways to approach it. There's so many. So first of all, it depends on who's interviewing who. Like I always say, there's never a generic answer to beat that question. But the approach I use, and there are several, if you go on Google or YouTube, there are several approaches to actually answering that question. But my approach, or I would advise, a better approach I would advise to that question is, first of all, you should have a script. You should have your personal script of how you can actually define yourself or tell people about yourself. And that script should be designed around how emotionally attached and passionate are you to that thing you're doing. Because I can read your CV to see all what you've done. So you want to tell me you worked here, you worked there, you worked in B, you worked in C, I worked for 15 years, that's fine, I can read that by myself. But what I cannot read is, what is your connection or attachment or passion to that thing, to that role? So for me, I always advise anyone before they go for interviews, and which I also use if I was going for any interview, is my personal connection to what I do. So I give you an example. You're a chef. And then the question pops up, the HR interviewer says, so tell us about yourself. So for me, I start with my journey into, so if I was to talk about, let's say, learning and development, and which is my role, I would say, my journey into learning and development spans from this. And the reason I love it is because it gives me an opportunity to help people actually grow. Because I believe knowledge is quite complex in this very complex world we are in, and there's too much of information, but breaking it down and helping people actually find ways to actually adapt and adopt those knowledge and then apply it to whatever they do is key for me. And if I come from a very shy, timid personality background, right? So I understand when people can't even share. So this is me still talking about myself. I've not said anything about where I worked or anything. I'm just saying why I love what I do. And I can probably share stories of, okay, I remember a certain scenario where blah, blah, blah happened during my work, and I was able to help this person actually love what they do more and invest more in themselves to actually doing more. So there's no definite answer to about you, but just make sure that in that answer there is a connection between why you are passionate about that role. But then the other part of it is, I'm trying to be the devil's advocate now, is sometimes you just want to do the job. I just need some money. I want to be able to fend for myself and pay my bills. You just stuck to doing that. But I always say, whatever you do, you have to put some love to it in order for you to do it well. So even during the interview, you have to, how can you find love, or how can you find a passion to that thing.
Yes.
So that you should be able to tell the interviewer, oh, why I want to do this is because I believe I'll be able to add value in this way, in that way to this. That's why I want you to hire me.
Sure.
And I believe I have what it takes. I have the competencies, I have the knowledge and skills to be able to add value to that role.
True.
So if you can, so I can't script it out for anyone. Everybody has to have their own personal script of why they're attached to that job or that role and why they want it.
Yes.
If they can do that, then there's an emotional connection. Then whoever is interviewing them sees that deep love for that thing, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So I also got something out of that, and of course I want this message to get to so many other people who are looking for jobs and they are looking for answers and so on.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, but also talking about jobs, one of the things I have noticed also is people do not do their groundwork before they go for an interview. What do I mean by groundwork? I'm coming to Dubai Golf, right, for an interview.
Yes.
I don't care what role.
Yes.
In this age, you have information in your palm.
Exactly.
Have you Googled the company? Do you know what the name of the CEO is? Do you know the business operations they manage? What is unique about them?
Yes.
All of these informations are online. Have you gone to just even see a video about something you love about the organization? So that you can craft a story about how you can actually make them feel good as an organization and why you want to be a part of them. And why you want them to see why you want to be a part of them. So even before you start, good you talk about yourself and all of that, but then do your background research on the company. Do your research on the company. Know the company well. Know who you're going to work for. Know the interviewer.
Yes.
Just go on LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn, I search for John GN, and I can see details of, I can see the last post you liked. And I can draw out a conversation based on, oh, well, I actually was following you. I follow you on your LinkedIn page, and I saw you were actually into golf.
Wow.
And I was just wondering, what, so you see, I'm flipping the interview around now and saying, it's now becoming a conversation, not an interview.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, so why golf of all the sports? And I don't know, why it fascinates me. I don't play golf, but could you tell me more? I am asking the interviewer.
Wow.
So now we're creating a conversation, which I have turned it around, and now it's a conversation, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know a few golfers, and I know this, I know that. So now we're having a conversation, not an interview.
Exactly. So the secret is to, first of all, as you have said, the research, investigation, know who is doing you the interview, get more into details,
about
go there, and so on. So, Jabez, could you tell us more about organizational culture? Because you are a legend in this, and we love how you do it here.
So I call myself different names. I call myself a workplace, when I say culture, workplace culture, workplace culture enthusiast, devotee, and I just, every day when I wake up, I have a new adjective to qualify myself when it comes to, but it's something I'm so passionate about, because if we define what culture is simply a way of life.
Yes.
Right? And in an organization, we all, actually there's a research that was done, we spend 1/3 of our life at the workplace, right? If 1/3 of our life is spent at a workplace, we come from different parts of the world, right? Different perspectives, different understanding, different ways we see things. When we come together, all of those cultures tend to conflict. There's always there's a conflict, there's a fight between yours to mine. There's a big one, which is normal, because you have a different culture, a different way of life.
That's true.
I have a different way, he has a different way of, so everybody has a different way of life. So in order to mitigate that conflict, right, or that friction, the organization has to have a culture. So the organization has to have how do we want things to be done? That's a simple definition. How we want things to be, how we want our people to be treated. And people call it different names. Some say for Dubai Golf, what we have done is we call it the service culture. Some people call it the winning culture.
Wow.
So people have different tag names for what it is, but there has to be a culture.
Yes.
And we adopted what we call the service culture because we wanted an environment where people are committed to taking care of each other.
True.
And creating value for someone else.
Exactly.
I always say this, that business is all about service.
Yes.
Either you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's all about service. You're giving value to someone. So now everybody now has to understand that in this organization, this is how we want to treat each other.
Yes.
This is how we want to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Because irrespective of the department you're from, HR, finance, procurement, you're there because you're supposed to give value for someone else who is going to give value to the external bill paying customer.
True.
So now there has to be an understanding of who exactly are we.
Yeah,
and what is the lifestyle or what is the way of life that we want to adopt. So if everybody has that understanding, then it's I'm not saying there won't still be friction, but then we all know that, okay, this is how we do things around here.
True.
So I'm so passionate about that because I feel like humans are capable of doing extraordinarily well.
Yes.
If you create the right environment for them. Like I said, if we spend 1/3 of our lives at work, it should be a wonderful place.
Yes.
Your happiness is dependent on that environment. So how can we as an organization, or how can the organization, and very importantly, and I always say this is not a task of just the senior leaders.
True.
Because most times you feel, oh no, the CEO and the senior managers are the people that are supposed to just make culture, make the environment of the organization perfect. No. It is everyone. Everybody plays an important role in making the culture, in ensuring that whatever culture you've chosen sticks and everybody lives by it. And like what we've done in Dubai Golf, we've created a culture. We're not there yet, and no organization would ever be there yet because it's a process. It's not an event. You don't just come together and say, okay, this is what we want to do and that's it. No, it's an event. It's the same way we lubricate our cars every now and then. So the culture also has to be lubricated. It has to be ingrained, integrated. When a new person joins, you integrate that person. So the person understands, okay, this is how we want to treat our customers, but first of all, this is how we want to treat ourselves.
Exactly.
Because then that forms the environment that everyone can actually be successful in it, be happy in it, and then that just spirals to productivity, because when the environment is right, people would be able to be more productive, because then everyone is working together, everyone treats each other right, and that just goes on and on.
Wow, that's amazing, Jabez. Now there is this one day that I was a little bit down, and Jabez, you came and we were having a kind of a session together, and there is something that you shared that was really touching. And after getting out of that door, I told myself, John, rise up. This was because of what I was doing at that particular moment, and I thought that it is not working well. But after that session, I went out and I said, I would like to hear that story once again. Maybe as we wind up this show, I would really appreciate if you could tell that story of bamboo tree, the Chinese bamboo tree.
I hope I still remember it. Well, sincerely, I can't take credit for that story. It's a story that transformed and changed my life also. It's a story from, it's best, and for anyone who wants to really get the original version of a story, go on YouTube and just find Les Brown Bamboo Tree. He talks about that story. But I just in summary, the story is basically, for those who know, every tree needs a seed for it to be planted, for it to grow. And while you drop the seed, or while you plant the seed, oftentimes for the Chinese bamboo tree is a very stubborn one, that when you plant the tree or when you plant the seed, after the first year, you keep watering, you keep fertilizing, nothing happens. Second year, nothing happens. You water, you fertilize, nothing happens. Third year, nothing happens. Fourth year, nothing happens. Fifth year, something happens.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's not something phenomenal.
Yeah.
So after 5 years, you have a little short, small sprout,
Yeah.
which is probably maybe about 2 inches or less than.
Yes.
But the farmer keeps watering and keeps fertilizing.
Yeah.
And then the transformation happens after 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
The Chinese bamboo tree becomes 90 feet tall.
Wow.
So I always ask the question, I'm sure on that day I probably asked the question, how long does it take? And I'll probably ask anyone else listening, how long does it take for the Chinese bamboo tree to actually become 90 feet tall? So most times the answers we always get, or the answers that comes to mind, is probably 6 weeks, or say 5 weeks, or say 1 year, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is, the Chinese bamboo tree, it didn't take it 1 year, 2 years, 6 weeks, 4 years. It took it actually 5 years. But then 5 years of the farmer being consistent, right? Mm-hmm. And persevering.
Yes, yes.
It keeps watering. Mm-hmm. So if the farmer actually stops,
1 minute.
Okay.
So if the farmer actually stops watering or fertilizing, the seed dies.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I kind of relate this, and I think that's what Les Brown actually, that's why I got the inspiration from, was it's linked to our lives. Our lives are like the Chinese bamboo tree, and oftentimes we're watering, we're fertilizing, we're investing in ourselves, we're putting so much more to be better, but then there is nothing to show for it.
True.
There are no results.
Yes.
But then the results could be coming.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to stop, just like the farmer. And I'm sure if we go back to the farmer's story, if the farmer, while he was on the 3rd year, you'll probably have people around tell him, dude, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, man.
Why are you wasting your time? If it's taking you 3 years, there's nothing. I have invested twice, third time, and you're still here fertilizing and watering. Let's use your land. I'll give you 50% of the produce after I harvest and all of that. But then the farmer is persevering and is very disciplined to say, I know what this is going to bring. So our lives are like that. So many times we invest so much, but we do not see it, but doesn't mean that we have to stop. We just have to keep putting more in ourselves. And this is what I say to every team member. Yes, you do have an organization which has learning and development set up, from the HR to help you develop, but it's your number one utmost responsibility. What can I invest in myself? How can I be better? One of my mantra is actually asking myself, how can we improve? How can we be better? If everybody keeps asking themselves that, then you would start having the initiative or ideas of how you can actually change things or what you need to do to help yourself being better. So sincerely, the whole story is just about invest more in yourself. Invest more in what you have to. Always ask yourself, what is the next level? There is no almighty formula.
No.
There is no almighty formula. I wish there was, because I would have used it. I'm probably just skyrocketed, but there's no almighty formula. It's just persevering, and that's where growth comes from. Growth comes from persevering and just doing more. And some days you would feel down. Some days you feel like, oh geez, I feel like I'm wasting my time. It's just for you producing great content, interviewing people. This is going a long way, like I said. But maybe you have 100 views today. Maybe you have 200 views today. But then you're putting in something and you're getting better.
That's true.